A bowl of hot water and some black on the one. Going to dust my little crops and see how far they've gone. We will have some breakfast, so we'll really kick the gong. Because I got some stuff here, just like Paul Revere. Ah, yes, a little bit of shoyu sauce will go a long way. We're running out of butter, but the hydrogenate is here to stay. Close the door to the frigo, and let's pour in some Joe. I haven't tasted breakfast. That's how we got far to go. I can do this. I'm a poor person.
The issue, inconveniences. Even for a trip of 6 hours like London, New York, the idea that you would lose 3 hours on each end of the trip makes it questionable. If international airport security tightens the screws and extends delays, they may damage their slowly rebounding airline industry and their economies.
So, you know, here's a problem here now with this. I'm using a lot of pronouns here. You know, pronouns are interesting. They have precedent and antecedent. They're like nouns, only they're more professional. They let the precedent and the antecedent do all the work, so they're professional nouns. That's why they call them pronouns. You know, that's why they have bodybuilding things in food called proteins. You know, that's because, you know, these, so on and so forth. Never mind. That's supposed to be an attempt at humor. Humor me. Okay. Well, what happens is I worked with these guys for a while. I loaded the suitcases onto their X-ray belts. You know, sometimes we'd, well, one time they found a motorcycle engine in a suitcase. I'll tell you, that was one heavy suitcase, man. But, you know, the thing is with that one is like, they could have actually packed it. They could have put it in their suitcase if it had no gasoline fumes, but this one was fuming. Yeah, just about every week they'd find somebody trying to pack pistols in suitcases, which, you know, you can do, but you have to register them, you know. And, you know, that would stop the line for a while, and they would... yeah, one time we... Oh, yeah. Oh, a couple of chainsaws, you know. It's like these guys are trying to go from Seattle to Alaska, and I guess the chainsaws are cheaper in Seattle. The trouble is, they should have tried to buy secondhand. If they brought a new one, it would have made it. Anyway, it is a tough job. These guys are wonderful people. I had a great time working with them. They are usually intellectual type guys. Even if they're not, they're very well mannered. They got their act together. A bit overwhelmed, but I've seen them plow through, having plowed through horribly packed suitcases. By the way, don't travel with your blue jeans, idiot. You know, that's so heavy. The heavier your suitcase gets, the more likely it is to get damaged. But anyway, so this is an interesting thing. Let's see if we can pick up on some more of this.
It is too early to tell. Not until the first full week after the holidays are over will the airline industry have any sense of where things stand.
For the
Mann says he is
holidays.
pleased that the Obama administration is conducting a top-to-bottom review of the TSA.
Bottom review. You know, there are some things I could suggest that you could do to speed up the process. I can't think of them now off the top of my head. But what we're concerned about is, all right, is this the end time scenario? And if it is, you know, right now you're very fortunate that these guys don't have their act together. They're learning how to do stuff. sewing the friggin' bomb in the guy's underwear. You know, I mean, you're going to be traveling with white robes, folks. That's how you know, in my vivid imagination, that's what I say you get. You know, what you're going to do is you're going to be traveling with white robes. They're going to make you go into the booth, change. All your clothes will be lifted to your spot where your destination is, probably by a second aircraft, maybe a drone. And if you get there and your clothes are blasted out of the sky, you know, good luck on that one. But we're not talking about this here. You see, this is like TSA and, you know, government handling things, solving the problems,
which he believes have largely been a failure.
And I would go further to say that I'd like to see the next $1 billion invested in, not in technology with X-rays and puffer machines, but rather essentially police work done offshore.
Now listen to this. This is
to
it.
locate people who would do harm.
This guy is right.
Whoever they may be, wherever they may be, and before they ever get to an airport. Airport is a particularly bad last line of defense for any kind of process like this.
Okay.
Man is not worried about the next would-be terrorist trying to conduct another ill-conceived and hastily attempted chemistry experiment on board.
All right, you know, this like, okay, guys, yeah, it was an experiment. Now, what we're looking at here is, now, we've got the big if here, and here's where the Bible comes in. You're talking about the last of the world empires. Now, you have the imperial scenario going on ever since Egypt, when the people began to realize that the regular flow of the river, the flood stages of the Nile River, brought fertility, and you know, even the Romans would eat Egyptian wheat later on, because I mean, they call them Romans. You know, my joke is they were called Romans because they had a big navy and they used to row their boats around, so that's why they call them Romans. But whatever it is, those guys realized they got a lot of strength. What they were getting was they were getting minerals in their wheat. And believe it or not, it may be a fascinating thing, that would be a real fascinating thing, that the success of the Roman Empire was based on Egyptian wheat. Talk about eating your Wheaties, huh? Anyway, it reminds me of this basketball player, you know, he ate so many Wheaties, he was able to mow his lawn with a Wheatie eater. Not very good, not funny, but you know, at least they're clean jokes. Anyway, you know, I gave him a bath before I told them. You know, I told the bell too, but anyway, I'm chewing up valuable seconds here. What we're talking about is, if this is the last empire, the Bible's talking about the Antichrist, not Antichrist. Anti, like his antechamber in place of Christ. These people didn't want Jesus, so they're going to get whatever his name is, and you have the imperial scenario here. Ever since Egypt, you had people realizing, hey, this is great, we can really capitalize on this, we're going to make a lot of money. And what happens is, then they begin to get to the place where they hustle people. They mess around with making more money off the poor than you know, making straight sales. They wipe out the poor, because the poor have to fail for people to become rich off of them. They have to make the poor fail. So basically what happens is the abuse of this gets swallowed up by an empire. Now what happens is, now you got the next thing. You got the empire. Well, what about this last final world empire and the Antichrist? Well, he's not going to be doing chemistry experiments to drop a plane out of the sky. These folks will cause craft to prosper. All they'll have to do is think, and that plane falls. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm talking about. No bombs, no experiment, no TSA, you know, and that's really, they're going to say, who can make war with this guy? He'll be able to defeat people supernaturally. And now that's what we're talking about. This is the last, that'll be the last government. And I don't dare say any more at this point, because we are running out of time. And it's like
an aircraft
I got time on the
spreads
fly.
about the soft underbelly of the nation's airports, with their long lines of tightly clustered
Show you
people
sauce
waiting to
goes
gather
well with it,
security
etc., etc.
into the safe